Over the first 2 days of our 4-day high country adventure, we made our way from Warburton to Bright. We covered plenty of dirt, climbed into the mountains, crossed a few rivers, and had a few moments that didn't go quite to plan. But the bikes were still running, the crew was still smiling, and there was still plenty more dirt riding ahead. Now, with 2 days behind us and 2 days ahead of us, it was time to head further into the high country and cross into a part of the map I hadn't explored before. By the third morning, yesterday's drama had already started to feel like someone else's problem. The bike had survived. And remarkably, gravity hadn't managed to rearrange anything. After 2 days of kicking dust through the air though, the air filters were a different story.
Exactly halfway we'll go.
A fresh air filter for the DRZ and a new pre-filter for the 450 MT. A quick inspection for anything that looked more broken than it did yesterday. With everything checked, tightened and still attached, we packed up the bikes and got ready to do it all over again. Day 3 would take us higher than we'd been so far. We left Bright behind and started to climb towards Mount Hotham. The plan was simple. Follow the Ridgelines, find lunch in Hotham, then turn southeast and make our way towards Dargo. On paper, it didn't sound particularly complicated. But for me, this part of the ride was different. This was the furthest I'd ever been into the Victorian High Country. Up until now, I'd spent most of the trip riding through terrain I was at least somewhat familiar with. Considering what I put the 450 MT through the day before, I was half expecting something to have let go. But apart from a tiny crack on the right-hand side plastic panel, the bike had come through yesterday completely unscathed.
I didn't know there was a river crossing there.
I told you there were a couple more water crossings. Right, not far to coffee.
I locked up hard there. Holy shit. You get wet, Lionel?
Can't hear anything.
I said the battery on my thing is lasting today.
Oh.
Can you hear me? Oh man, it's hot today.
I am fucking cooking. On that hill was the worst.
Yeah, I know. No, I had my jacket closed. I was boiling, like slowly and slowly boiling. Eh? I can't remember. Nothing overly important. But it was hot. I'm getting some good shots today.
Alpine track was one of those sections I'd been looking forward to the most. It was also one of 5 bucket list items I'd get to tick off my list on this trip. Sometimes a track earns its reputation without needing to try very hard. This track just seemed to flow. The ridgeline rolled beneath us, one corner naturally feeding into the next. And after a while, you stop thinking about every corner, you stop trying to ride the track, and you just settle into a rhythm. There was a clearing between the 2 hills, so I'm not sure. Oh, really? A little bit ahead there's a campsite. Let's wait up there.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, I'm gonna change batteries.
What's the campsite called, do you know?
No idea.
It's at 9.5k.
Oh, really? Because he said like 3k there was a clearing. Eventually, we regrouped at one of the lookouts. The kind of place that makes you forget you're supposed to be going somewhere. Mountain after mountain disappeared into the distance, and for a few minutes, nobody seemed particularly interested in leaving. We'd eventually reach Mount Hotham, and after a few days of dirt, dust and mountain tracks, it was a good place to stop for lunch and reset.
Whoa. How's that my street going, mate?
Much better, I've got no idea actually. Now that I've got a lot of space, something like pretty sensible.
Yeah, right.
From Hotham, the road turned towards Dargo. The Great Alpine Road was something else. The road climbed and twisted through the mountains, giving us a more civilized, a more predictable taste of the Alpine country. But eventually, the bitumen gave way to gravel, and the iconic Dargo high plain road stretched out in front of us. The character of the rise changed almost immediately. The road became wider, the horizon became bigger, and the mountains opened up around us once again. This was the kind of road that made the kilometers disappear, fast enough to flow, open enough to look around, and with a horizon that seemed to keep moving further away the longer you ride towards it.
How far to Dargo?
It's an easy ride from here.
Yeah.
It was 82 k's from the pub,
So,
and the road's kind of. I mean, we have to descend into the valley, but it's really easy.
but
Ride.
this is the last section pretty much.
Yeah.
By the time we rolled into Dargo, the bikes had done their job. And somehow, we'd all made it this far in one piece. We settled into the old log cabins for the night, then traded helmets for dinner plates at the iconic Dargo Hotel. 3 days on the road has a way of changing a group of riders. Strangers become riding buddies become mates. And suddenly, every minor inconvenience is a story worth telling. The stories get better, but the jokes get worse. And yet, nobody really wants this night to end. By the fourth morning, the end was started to feel real. 4 days of riding had come down to one final start, and that bittersweet feeling knowing the adventure is almost over. The bikes lined up outside the pub, engines fired, helmets went on, and for the last time, we pointed them towards the road. The final day was a short one. Just one last stretch of dirt between Dargo and Heyfield before the group would begin to part ways. But by now, the destination wasn't really the point. After 4 days of chasing tracks through the mountains, the riding itself had become the destination.
We'll do those fast passes first.
We'll do the front bumpers first, and then we'll find a good spot. We'll do the remaining like 2 door stops.
By Heyfield, the group that had started together was beginning to scatter. Some bikes were loaded onto a trailer, others pointed their wheels towards home. 4 days earlier, we'd all arrived looking for an adventure. Now, we're leaving with 9 different versions of the same one.
Sorry?
That's probably how it should be.
Yeah, I know.
For me, there's always a final part to the adventure. The glamorous stuff. Wash the bike, check for damage, and figure out what actually survived the trip. 4 days of rocks, dust, water, and questionable decision, and somehow, the 450 MT had come through it all. Not bad. Not bad at all. Although I'm sure the bike would have preferred a quieter holiday. And then it was just Lionel and me. The cameras were mostly packed away. Just 2 bikes and the long ride home. More than 1,000 kilometers, some questionable decisions and a few close calls, a lot of dust, a lot of laughter, those trackside conversations, and those quiet stretches of road where you're riding alongside your mates. And that's the thing about adventure riding. You leave looking for somewhere new to explore and come home with a reason to go back. Because eventually the kilometers stop being numbers, the tracks become stories, and the places you once wanted to see become the places you already miss. A big thanks to Ridgeline ADV and the crew for having me along on this adventure. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.